Reunion at a forbidden address. Crystalin's narrative of detention. It was an ordinary morning in a quiet residential neighborhood. The sun was not yet high, and a spring breeze was blowing gently through the newly green trees. But in one of the houses that looked ordinary from the outside, a small violation of a legal decision was about to escalate into a confrontation full of emotion and chaos. Crystalin was sitting in the house, eating breakfast, still half awake, when there was a knock on the door. The knock was followed by a friendly but firm greeting from the police officers standing in the doorway. Hi, how are you doing?" asked one of the officers. Good, replied Crystalin in a casual tone. "Are you the only one home right now?" asked the officer again. "No, I'm with my mom," he answered quickly. The two of them briefly looked at each other, as if not wanting to immediately reveal the purpose of their visit. But then, in a more serious tone, one of the officers asked Crystalin to step outside for a moment, saying they just wanted to clear up a few things. It seemed like a casual conversation at first, an interaction that, on the surface, seemed harmless. But their intentions soon became clear. The officers told her that Crystalin's presence at the house violated the terms of her bail bond in a previous case. The address was where the victim of an ongoing case lived, and she was prohibited from being there. But here she was, back in the place she had been ordered to avoid. Crystalin looked confused. "Wait, how did you know I'm here?" she asked, her voice rising. "We were just doing our jobs," the officer replied curtly, trying to stay calm. When the officers told her they were going to arrest her for that violation, the situation changed dramatically. "What? No way. You can't do this," Crystalin said, her voice starting to fill with anger. The officers tried to talk her down, but when they moved in to handcuff her, she struggled. She refused to give up her hands, screamed, refused orders, and even scratched one of the officers who tried to restrain her. "Stop, don't do that. I can't breathe," she screamed as she struggled on the floor, trying to free herself. The officers, who were trained to deal with situations like this, tried to calm her down while maintaining procedure. But Crystalin continued to refuse to cooperate, and the arrest turned into an intense struggle. She swore, screamed, cursed, and used profanities on the law enforcement officers, who were now losing their patience. "You fing idiot, you motherfucker," she screamed as she was finally handcuffed and taken out of the house. After being taken into custody, Crystalin began complaining of shortness of breath and chest pain. The officers immediately called an ambulance to check on her. A few moments later, paramedics arrived on the scene. One of them tried to talk to her gently. "Cry, do you want us to take a look at you? Make sure you're okay."
The violation of your pretrial conditions. You're under arrest for battery with a police officer, and you're under arrest for resisting, okay?
Well,
Step on over here by the car.
battery for you?
You scratched me and you slapped her. That's battery.
Wow.
Just come over by the back of the car.
Hold on, put your hand behind. I'm going to double lock them so they don't tighten up on you, okay?
What are you doing this? What is this? I don't understand. Idiot, you arresting me for no reason.
Do you wanna sit down on the curb to wait for the fire department? It might be a little more comfortable. We're gonna help you down, okay? Okay.
"I'm not stressed," she said quickly. But when questioned again, she admitted to feeling pain. After being examined in the ambulance, her condition was declared stable, although she continued to complain that she did not understand why she was being arrested. Amid the chaos, Crystalin insisted that she never knew she was not allowed to be in the house. "This is my place," she shouted as she was led to the police car. "I never heard that. I don't understand." A sergeant who arrived later tried to explain that the address was protected by law because it was the residence of the victim in Crystalin's case. Violation of this provision, as determined by the court, was the main reason for her arrest that day. After being calmed down, Crystalin was taken to the police station for further processing. Throughout the journey, she continued to question the basis for her arrest, repeating that she never knew about the prohibition. But the law does not always recognize ignorance as an excuse. Crystalin was then charged with 3 counts, violating the terms of her bail bond, resisting an officer, and a misdemeanor count of battery on a law enforcement officer. She remains innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. What seemed like a simple morning interaction became a complex portrait of the clash between legal ignorance, uncontrollable emotions, and the procedures required to follow by law enforcement. For most, it would be just another legal note to be filed. But for Crystalin, it may have been a moment that would last her lifetime, a morning that turned into a turning point. And for the officers who handled the case, it was just one more day when the law had to be upheld, even if not everyone was prepared for it.
My name is Eric. I'm the sergeant here on this shift. I just wanted to verify with you. Is anyone home inside your apartment? Your mom or son or anybody?
My mom's not there.
No one's home?
I don't know. My mom was there.
She was there?
Yeah, she was there, and she went outside.
Inside the police car, the engine growled softly as Crystalin sat in silence for a moment, physically and emotionally exhausted. Her face was flushed with anger, anxiety, and shame all mixed together. The handcuffs around her wrists felt cold and rough. She leaned back in her seat, her eyes staring blankly ahead. An officer sitting in front of her turned to her, trying to make conversation more calmly. "We'll explain everything at the office later. You deserve to know all the details." But Crystalin just shook her head slowly. "I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. I just woke up. I just wanted to eat. I didn't hurt anyone." The officers didn't reply. They knew this wasn't about intent. This was about the law, and the law makes no compromise on personal emotions. When they arrived at the police station, Crystalin was led into an interrogation room. She was helped to a seat, and the handcuffs were removed. A female officer approached her to check for additional injuries from the struggle. "We just want to make sure you're okay. If there's anything wrong, we'll note it down and take you to a medical facility if necessary," the officer said, gently but professionally. Crystalin was still emotional, but slowly began to realize that a legal process was underway. She began to ask more calmly, "So, what do you mean I can't go to that house? That's my house too. I lived there before all this happened." An investigator entered with a folder filled with documents. He opened the page, showing a copy of a court order stating that the address was now a no-go zone for the defendant, because the victim in the previous case still lived there. "This is a condition of the court when you were released on bail. We know you may not understand everything during the trial, but it's been noted down and you signed it," the investigator explained. Crystalin read the page with a frown. Her eyes moved quickly from one sentence to the next, as if hoping to find a loophole that could free her from this situation. But there was none. Time passed. She was given a drink of water and asked to wait for the administrative process. In another room, officers make a report. The detention was carried out for violation of bail conditions, accompanied by resistance and minor violence against officers. They also include documentation from the body cam that recorded the entire incident. On the other hand, a team begins to investigate Crystalin's background more deeply. They find previous records. The outside world continues as usual. Outside the police station, streetlights come on one by one. But for Crystalin, time seems to have stopped, freezing her in one spot, between an unfinished past and a future that is now threatened. We all make mistakes, but not understanding the legal consequences can make things worse. Don't let momentary emotions ruin your future. Understand your rights and responsibilities, and learn from every experience, even the painful ones.
Let me know so I can clarify.
I don't understand why you arresting me for. You don't even warrant of arrest.
Okay, so I told you it was for violation of being at your house, okay?
What do you mean be for my house? I don't understand. I never heard that shit. You know, it sounds like a weird. Really, seriously.
I understand.
You know, I don't understand this.
I understand. It's not up to me. It's up to the judge and the parameters that he set.
I never heard this shit before.